My name is Maria. I am 38 years old. I was married to David for 18 years. We had a quiet life together. We lived in a small house in a quiet town. We had a car. We had a daughter. Her name is Sophie. She is 16 years old. I loved David very much. I thought he loved me too. We ate dinner together every evening. We watched movies on weekends. We went shopping on Sundays. For 18 years, this was our life. I felt safe with him. I never thought he would leave me. Before I tell you what happened, I want to say something important. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe, share, and comment. It helps me a lot, and it lets me bring you more true emotional stories in simple English. One evening, David came home from work. He did not look happy. He did not smile. He did not even say hello. He sat down at the kitchen table. I had made dinner for him. I placed food on his plate. He did not eat. He just looked at the food. His face was cold. I asked him what was wrong. He said nothing. I asked again. His eyes looked strange. I felt afraid. He told me he needed to talk to me. My hands started to shake. I sat down beside him. I waited for his words. He said he was leaving me. The words broke me. My mind went blank. My mouth was dry. I asked him why. My voice was very small. He looked away. He did not look at me. He said he met another woman. I felt pain inside me. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I asked him who she was. He said her name was Ella. She worked with him at his office. They started talking. Then they ate lunch together. Soon it became more. I asked him her age. He did not answer at first. I asked again. He said she was 23 years old. My eyes filled with tears. I could not stop crying. She was younger than my daughter. When I married David, Ella was only a small child. I looked at myself in the mirror that night. I saw gray hair. I saw lines on my face. My body was not young anymore. I felt old. I felt weak. David stood up and said he had packed his clothes. He had a bag ready. He was going to live with Ella. He walked to the door. I followed him. I begged him not to leave. I said I loved him. I asked him to think of Sophie. He did not listen. He opened the door and walked away. I watched him drive off into the night. The house was silent. I sat at the table. The food was cold. I threw it all away. I had no hunger. That night I could not sleep. I lay in the bed we had shared. His pillow still smelled like him. Tears ran down my face until morning came. The next day, I called Sophie at school. My voice was weak. I told her to come home. She ran to me and hugged me tight. She asked what happened. I told her about David. I told her about Ella. I told her Ella was only 23 years old. Sophie became angry. She called her father a bad man. She said she would never forgive him. We held each other. We cried together. Our hearts were broken, but at least we had each other. The days after this were hard. I did not want to eat. I could not sleep. I lost weight. I sat in silence for hours. My friends came to see me. They brought food. They said David was foolish. They said I was still beautiful. They told me I would find someone better. But their words did not help. The pain was too deep. 1 week later, I met David at a small cafe. We had to talk about the house, about money, and about Sophie. I was shaking when I saw him. He looked different. He wore new clothes. His hair was cut short. He looked younger. He looked happy. It hurt me so much to see him happy while I cried every day. We spoke about papers, about money, about selling our home. He said the house was too big for me. He said I should move into an apartment. His words were cold. He spoke to me like a stranger. I went home and cried again. But this time, there was something new. I was not only sad, I was angry too. Angry at David. Angry at Ella. Angry at myself. I asked myself what I had done wrong. I started to think about our marriage. Were there signs I did not see? I remembered how he stayed late at work. I remembered how he bought new clothes. I remembered how he always looked at his phone and smiled. Now I knew why. He was writing to Ella. He was giving his love to her. The weeks after David left were dark. Each morning I woke up and felt empty. The house was quiet. The air felt heavy. I tried to make breakfast, but I could not eat. I sat at the table, but I stared at the wall. At night, I could not sleep. I turned in the bed, but the bed was too big. I looked at David's side. It was empty. I touched his pillow. It was cold. I pulled the blanket over my head and cried. The tears never stopped. Sophie stayed close to me. She came home after school and sat with me. She tried to make me eat. She told me stories about her day. She tried to make me smile. Sometimes I smiled for her. But the smile did not last. One Saturday, I went to the supermarket. I needed bread and milk. I walked slowly down the aisles. My body felt heavy. My head was full of thoughts. Then I froze. My heart dropped. David was there. He was not alone. Ella was with him. They held hands. They laughed. She had long hair. She had bright eyes. Her skin was smooth. She looked very young. She looked happy. I hid behind some boxes. I watched them. David looked at her the way he used to look at me. His smile was warm. His face was full of life. They walked close. She touched his arm. He laughed again. Ella saw me. Our eyes met. She knew who I was. She did not look sorry. She looked proud. She had won. She took my husband. She took my life. I left the store without buying anything. My hands were shaking on the car wheel. I drove home with tears in my eyes. That night, I made a decision. I could not live like this. I was tired of crying. I was tired of feeling weak. I had to do something. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Her name was Caroline. She had a calm voice. She listened to me. I told her everything. I told her about 18 years of marriage. I told her about Sophie. I told her about Ella. Caroline said I was not alone. She said we would fight for what was fair. She said I had given my best years to David. I raised his child. I kept his home. She said I deserved half of everything. Her words gave me some strength. The fight was hard. David was cold. He said I was greedy. He said I wanted to destroy his new life. I cried after each meeting, but Caroline stood by me. She was strong. She told me to keep going. Sophie was my angel during this time. She called me from school every day. She hugged me when she came home. She forced me to eat soup and bread. She said, "Mom, we will be okay. We will get through this. One day, Sophie said we should change my bedroom. She said it still looked like David's room. She was right. His clothes were gone, but the room still felt like him. She said, "Let us make it yours." We went to the shop and bought yellow paint. Happy yellow. We bought new curtains. We bought a new blanket for the bed. We spent the weekend painting the walls and moving the furniture. When the room was finished, it looked bright. It looked new. That night, I slept well for the first time in months. I felt safe in my own room. It was mine now. After that, I tried to make more changes. I joined a book club. I had always loved books, but I never had time to read. Now I had time. The women at the club were kind. They did not know my sad story. They just knew me as Maria who loved books. I also joined an exercise class. At first, I felt old. My body was slow. The other women looked strong and young. But the teacher told me exercise was not about being perfect. It was about feeling strong. Her words stayed with me. Slowly, I started to feel different. I was still sad, but I also felt small pieces of strength. I could walk outside without crying. I could eat without pain. I could sleep some nights, and still, some days were heavy. I thought of David and Ella. I thought of their smiles. I thought of their life together. My heart hurt. I asked myself many questions. Why did he leave me? Was I not enough? Did I make mistakes? One evening, Sophie sat next to me. She said, "Mom, please stop blaming yourself. You gave him love. You gave him care. He made the choice, not you." Her words touched me. I hugged her tight. The divorce went on for months. Each meeting with David was hard. He was colder each time. He did not look at me the way he once did. His face showed no love, only anger. But Caroline kept me strong. She fought for me. At the end, I got half of what I deserved. It was not easy, but it was fair. I cried when it was over, but this time my tears were different. They were not only sad tears, they were also strong tears. Sophie then had another idea. She said, "Let us do something new. Let us try something fun." She signed me up for a small art class. At first I said no. I said I was too old. She said, "You are not too old to learn." I went to the class. My hands shook when I held the brush. My picture was not good. But the teacher smiled. He said it was beautiful. I laughed for the first time in a long time. Each week, I went to the art class. I painted flowers. I painted trees. I painted small houses. I was not a good painter, but I did not care. I felt calm when I painted. One day, an old friend found me on social media. Her name was Caroline, too, like my lawyer. She lived in another town near the mountains. She invited me to visit her. At first I was scared. I had not traveled alone for 18 years. David had always planned our trips. But Sophie said, "Mom, you can do it." So I bought a ticket. I packed a bag. I went to the station. My hands shook as I sat on the train. But when I reached the new town, I felt proud. My friend Caroline was waiting for me. She hugged me. Her town was beautiful. The air was fresh. The mountains were tall and green. We walked in the streets. We ate at small restaurants. We talked about our lives. She also had a divorce in the past. She told me her story. She said she was sad for a long time, but then she started a small shop. She made clothes. Now she was happy. Her words gave me hope. On my last night, we sat outside and looked at the sunset. The sky was pink and gold. My friend said, "When one life ends, another begins." It is not the end. It is a new start. I cried, but these were not the same tears. They were lighter. They were tears of hope. For the first time, I thought maybe I could be happy again. When I came back home, I felt different. I was not only a woman who was left by her husband. I was Maria. I was a mother. I was a reader. I was a friend. I was someone who could live again. Time passed. 2 years had gone by since David left. The pain was still in me, but it was not the same. It was softer. It was not the sharp pain from before. I could live with it now. I could wake up in the morning and not cry. I could walk to the shop and not feel weak. I could look at the sky and feel peace. My small apartment felt like home now. I put flowers on the table. I painted the walls light blue. I bought a small sofa, soft and warm. I chose everything myself. Every room showed my taste. It was not a house full of memories of David. It was my home, my safe place. Sophie grew fast. She was now in college. She studied art. She loved to paint and draw. She called me every week. Sometimes she came home on weekends. She always asked me if I was lonely. I told her the truth. I said, "I am alone, but I am not lonely." There is a big difference. I did not feel empty anymore. One afternoon, Sophie told me about a boy she liked. His name was Peter. He was kind. He was gentle. He helped her with her art projects. She laughed when she spoke about him. I could see love in her eyes. I felt happy for her. At the same time, I felt afraid for her. I did not want her to feel the pain I felt. But I did not say that. I wanted her to live her life. I started to do more things for myself. I joined a cooking class in the city. The teacher was an old man with gray hair. He taught us to make bread, soup, and pasta. The kitchen always smelled nice. Garlic, herbs, and fresh bread. I liked the class. It made me feel alive. In that class, I met Robert. He was about my age. He had brown hair with some gray. He wore glasses. He was quiet, but he smiled often. He asked me one day if I wanted to sit next to him. I said yes. We cooked together. He cut vegetables and I stirred the soup. After class, Robert told me my soup was very good. He asked if I wanted to have coffee with him. I was surprised. I had not gone out with a man for many years. My hands felt cold. My voice was small, but I said yes. We went to a small cafe near the school. We sat for 2 hours. We talked about books. We talked about our children. Robert told me he was divorced. He had 2 sons. They were adults now. He said he lived alone in a small flat. He said he liked reading, just like me. When I went home, I felt warm inside. It was not love. It was not big. But it was soft. It was simple. It was nice to feel seen again. Robert and I met again the next week. We had coffee again. Then we met a 3rd time. Each time, I felt more at ease. I felt like myself. Robert listened when I spoke. He asked about my feelings. He looked at me with kind eyes. One evening, he asked me to dinner. A real dinner in a restaurant. I was nervous. I did not know what to wear. I did not know how to act. I had not gone on a date in 20 years. I called Sophie and told her. She was very happy. She said, "Mom, you deserve this. You deserve someone who cares for you." She helped me choose a dress, a soft blue dress with small flowers. The dinner was lovely. Robert brought yellow roses. We ate fish and rice. We drank a little wine. We talked about travel. We talked about our past. The time went fast. When he walked me to my car, he said he wanted to see me again. I said yes. He kissed my cheek. My heart felt light. After that, Robert and I saw each other often. Sometimes we cooked together at my apartment. Sometimes we went to the park. Sometimes we watched movies. He made me laugh. I had not laughed like that for years. One night while we were cooking, Robert looked at me. He said I looked happy. I said, "I'm happy." He smiled and said he was falling in love with me. I felt afraid when he said that. Afraid to love again. Afraid to be hurt again. But I also felt hope. I told him, "We can go slow." He said he would wait. I thought about David that night. For the first time, I did not feel anger. I did not feel hate. I felt free. David gave me pain, but he also gave me a gift. He gave me freedom to find myself. He gave me the chance to find real love. Spring came. The trees were green. The flowers were bright. Sophie came home for spring break. She met Robert. I was nervous. But Sophie smiled. She said Robert was kind. She said I looked younger. She said I looked bright. One Saturday, Robert took me to the mountains. We walked on a small path. The air was clean. The valley below us was wide. He held my hand. His hand was warm. I felt safe. We sat on a rock and ate sandwiches. He said I made him feel alive. I told him he made me believe in love again. That day I knew. I loved him. I loved his gentle way. I loved his smile. I loved how he listened. I was not afraid anymore. A few months later, Robert asked me to marry him. We were on my small balcony. The stars were bright above us. He held my hand and said he wanted to spend his life with me. His eyes were full of hope. My heart was full too. I said yes. Our wedding was small, just family and close friends. Sophie helped me choose my dress. It was white and simple. My friend Caroline came from the mountains. She was proud of me. She said I had found joy again. The wedding was in a garden with roses and green grass. The sun was shining. Birds were singing. When I walked down the path, Robert looked at me and cried. Not sad tears. Happy tears. We said our vows under a big tree. We promised to love and care for each other. After the wedding, we danced in the garden. Just the two of us. The stars watched over us. I thought about my journey. From pain to peace. From broken to whole. From lost to found. Now I wake up each morning with Robert beside me. He makes coffee. I make breakfast. We read together. We plan small trips. Life feels simple. Life feels full. Sometimes I think about David and Ella. I hear they are still together. I hope they are happy. I do not hate them anymore. I do not think of them with anger. I think of them as part of my past. They closed one door, but that door led me to another. Sophie is now planning her own wedding. She wants to marry Peter. She asks me for advice. I tell her to love, but also to stay strong. I tell her to never lose herself in someone else. I tell her she must be whole first. Then love will be a gift, not a need. Robert and I plan to travel. We want to see France and Italy. We want to walk in old streets and eat good food. We want to hold hands in new places. We are not in a hurry. We have time. My story began with an ending. My marriage ended. My old life ended. But endings are not only ends. They can be beginnings. David leaving was the worst pain of my life. But from that pain, I found myself. I found strength. I found love again. We all go through hard times, but stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching, and come back for more real moments.